you've been promoted. You know how you got this job. You got this job from lots of hard work. You were the best in your department at marketing of widgets. How did you become that? Well, you studied really hard in school, got your degree in marketing, got your job. You didn't really know much about widgets when you started your job, but you were very passionate about marketing the widgets once they employed you. So congratulations, you're up. You walk into work the first day, you're excited about this new position. You sit down at your desk, you open up your email, and you have one email from HR. It doesn't really tell you very much, but you do at least have a list of your team there. You know what their positions are and their names. You decide we're probably going to need a cup of coffee. You go get your coffee, come back, and already you see that you have 3 emails from your team. One person's asking you if they can have a day off on Friday suddenly. Another person's asking if this deadline coming up on Wednesday can be extended, and you know nothing about what this deadline's even about. Someone else had complaints about the performance review that just came out the week before. You sit back, take a sip of that coffee, take a deep breath, and just hope that pretty soon you'll know what you're doing. In the meantime, you answer the questions, you get back to people, and hope that your newness isn't showing through. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you've been through it. Maybe you've seen a new manager going through it. This is unfortunately a not uncommon situation. We wait for the cavalry to come and give us the training and resources we need to be better at our jobs. Where a lot of people say the backbone of an organization is that first line manager. And people leave jobs because of their managers. But many places don't really devote much by way of training into making better leaders. They just hope that they come by osmosis of taking in the company culture and just being high performers, which is how they got there in the first place. People do need training and mentoring and coaching if possible. Hi, I'm Emily Heverkamp. I am a leadership coach who has over 5 years experience in different areas of managing. I started out as an attorney at a small law firm, eventually owned my own firm where I had no employees, and then I moved over to do quasi-legal work in a much larger organization. After several years in that organization doing quasi-legal work, I did become a manager. Right after I got that promotion, I realized I don't really have very much knowledge about leading people. And for me, I feel most comfortable when I have academic knowledge of something. Once I got a little bit of exposure to the managerial concepts, I actually fell in love with it. And that led me to go to school at night where I earned a master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology. Now, in no way do I say anyone else should do what I did. You don't need a master's degree or an MBA or anything else to lead people. However, my channel Winning 9 to 5, I want to share the information I got in my master's program so that hopefully you can take something away from it. What I took away from it more than anything was how to be an intentional leader. Being an intentional leader basically just means that you have some sort of intent or strategy in how you're going to conduct yourself in this leadership position. If you don't do that, do everything ad hoc, it's exceptionally difficult to build a team. And most importantly, it's exceptionally difficult to build trust. The backbone of any relationship is trust. And the supervisor-employee relationship, that is built upon trust just like any other relationship. There's some definite practical ways that you can, from the very beginning, work to help build trust on your team. One of the first things to do is just talk to your team. I would suggest if it's reasonable, you have, I don't know, between 5 and 8 employees under you or fewer, that you right away set up at least bi-weekly meetings that they know there's a specific time that you have allotted to them to talk to them about how they're doing, about what they're doing, about maybe where they want to go in the future. You can help be that mentor for them that maybe you never had. You can also just show by setting those meetings that you care about how they're doing. Make it very clear, though, that this isn't to monitor them closely. It's to really just make sure that they know that there's a time allotted for them. But also make it clear that communication between these meetings should be something that's happening with regularity as well. And they should never be shy to ask you questions. Because the last thing you want to do is for people to feel like they can't approach you, because this can lead to things like covering up mistakes, which again is why you want to build up a lot of trust. Second, make feedback a priority. And by this, I don't mean someone makes a mistake, tell them they did something wrong. It means much more than that. First off, it means telling people when they did something right. So it doesn't actually mean only telling people that are exemplary they did something awesome. It can also just mean telling someone who did a solid job that there's no more edits. Because sometimes, especially if it's a new relationship with a supervisor, people get really anxious. Well, you didn't write me back about it. What happened? Did I do okay? And a lot of times when the supervisor like, well, I didn't tell you did anything wrong, so of course it's fine. People often need that reassurance, and it makes them get more confidence in what they're doing if they're getting feedback. It's also okay to tell somebody, even if maybe you don't send work back to them, to say, well, I made a few changes here or there. In the future, here's how I would like to see it. That's going to save you time correcting things. It's really important that you don't save feedback just for performance reviews. One of the worst things you can do as a manager is have a performance review be a surprise. A performance review should never be a surprise. Any bad or good information should have been doled out throughout the year, and this is just a way to have an overarching discussion of the year before and where you want to go in the future based on that. Finally, for today, one of the last ways that I would suggest trying to build trust is having more of a culture. What does that mean? Well, it means that you're more asking questions for somebody. What's important, though, is you show them that you're not going to just race into viewing them negatively because of an action, that you want to know what happened. Certainly do that in any instance where there's performance. If you feel like there's ways to improve, you don't want to demoralize somebody by sending a terse email and not really finding out anything behind the scenes. Find out why they did things the way they did. What were you thinking when you came to this conclusion? Here, and maybe you still won't love what they say, but it gives you an opportunity to reflect on it, give you an idea of their perspective, let them be heard. And sometimes, too, when they reflect it back to you, they notice the holes in what they're saying when things are a little bit less rushed, especially as maybe you ask some more questions. But this is just a brief introduction into my basic theories as far as how I view things in the workplace, as far as building yourself up as a leader, whether you have a leadership position or not, is important to build trust amongst people in the office. And it's also very important to be very intentional in the ways that you approach things. Sometimes we're not very good about being intentional in our careers, and it's something I've definitely learned over time. And I hope, again, to be able to share some of those insights that I got both in the workplace and also academically with you, so you don't have to, again, go get a master's degree like I did. There's plenty of lessons that you can learn just from some of these short videos that you can also be an intentional leader. I hope you learned something today and you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please let me know. Please leave a comment and like and subscribe.